So this is obviously Bounding in the Comics. We did a whole stream about Bounding in the Comics and how shitty they are. So this is numerous comic professionals support artist Jamal Igle, whatever, ending his personal and business relationship with former DC publisher Dan DiDio for doing interview with John Delarose. Now, John is a guy who's been on the stream several times. We are in a DM group, myself and Pete, with John. You would consider John a friend, wouldn't you, Pete?
Yeah, I like John. He's a old timer when it comes to the sort of right wing internet nerd game. He's been doing this a long time now. But no, I like John. He's a pretty cool guy.
John is hit or miss for me, right? There's some moments where I'm like, oh, he's a nice guy, he's fine, and in some moments you're like, oh wow, he's taking it a little too far. Like he's gone. It's a little off the deep end.
Wow, we have all areas of the spectrum because I think he's an asshole. So we got someone who likes him, someone who's 50-50, and someone who doesn't. So this is good.
I only brought this.
I like the way that Dan DiDio capitalizes his name. That's fun. I've never seen that before.
And the only reason I brought this article up was to show Bounding in the Comics' lack of integrity. Lack of integrity. So we're going to go over the article, and then I'm going to tell you why I have an issue with this article. All right?
How dare you attacking a fellow journalist?
That's what I do. That's what I do best. Artist Jamal who worked on a number of DC titles such as Supergirl, The Ray, Firestorm, and others, recently announced he ended his relationship with former DC publisher Dan DiDio after he did an interview with John Delarose. He's receiving praise and support from a number of comic book professionals. This is the guy, I guess. He says he don't want to work with Dan DiDio because DiDio did an interview, right? DiDio did an interview with John Delarose earlier this week to promote his Ancient Enemies comic book series. He has also discussed his current gripes with the comic book industry, as well as explaining why woke ideology is rampant in comics.
Is he trying to get a job with Rippaverse?
He might. And Rippa's just hiring everybody. So what do you think about this, about what Dan said? Do you think that woke ideology is rampant in comics?
Oh,
don't
me?
all answer at once. Either one.
Oh, I didn't know that was okay. I didn't know if that was like rhetorical. Sorry. Is it is wokeness endemic to comics? Yes, to some degree. At the moment, that is true. Has that always been true? No. I think part of the problem is the comics industry, especially at the big two, has shrunk so much that most of the great writers and creators have all left, and so we're just left with the skulls.
Personally, I think the issue is more so that people focus on one or two issues, right? Like the big issues, like Superman, Batman. Batman's got a gay sidekick now, or Superman's son is now gay. So that just means all of DC's gay, right? They don't go, well, actually, if you look, there's actually like 3 titles that are woke, and like the other 37 are just normal, right? Because no one cares about those characters, right? So that's why it's like, oh, it's super woke everywhere. I think it's not. I think it's overblown. Are there some titles that are woke? Sure. Are there some titles that are maybe a little too ensconced into the political spectrum stuff? Yeah, sure. So but not everything.
I think there's never been a moment in history where so many different types of people get to make comics for the big two, that there was always going to be some friction with the audience. So, yeah.
So that's my take on it. I think the real issue is people are so entrenched in their comic reading. Like, I love Batman, and then, oh, they changed Batman. Now comic books hate me, right? Instead of going, well, okay, the Batman's done. Like, I'll just read something else, right? Other things exist, but carrying on. It says, Eagle, whatever the fuck, reacted to DiDio doing an interview with John Delarose on his Facebook account, where he posted, quote, I just unfriended an ex-employer for crossing a line that they can never come back from. Once you cross that Comicsgate line, we're done, professionally and personally. Now, first off, he should have said, once you open that Comicsgate, come on. You're going to say something. Be a little
Well, I
theatrical
think he was
about it.
trying to be serious.
Once you open that comics gate, come on, it just writes itself. Right?
You see what I did there, guys?
Yeah.
Because a gate is
Because you understand that a gate is a thing, and the gate is on 3 sides of the building, and there's one side there's no gate. I think this is stupid, personally. Are there some bad people in Comicsgate? Probably. I don't know every single individual who claims Comicsgate, but I'm sure there's bad people. But I'm also sure that there's good people. I've talked to EVS, and yes, he rubbed some people the wrong way, and yeah, he's leaned into things that he probably shouldn't have, right? But overall, I think Ethan is a smart individual who actually cares about comic books, cares about what he's doing, and is very creative. And
full disclosure, he's a friend of yours.
he's not a friend, right? People throw that word around a lot. I don't think I've talked to Ethan outside
Well,
of
he's not a lover.
He's come on this stream a couple times. He's been in the chat, but I don't think we've never had private conversations, right? I'm not going over to Ethan's house for barbecue anytime soon.
Right? But you're not on his enemies list. I'm
not on his enemies list. What do you think, Pete? You think
EVS
this is
great? I like EVS a lot. He's an incredible artist. He's very talented. He's had a huge impact on the comic book industry, and even still, even though they effectively kicked him out of it, I don't know, the Comicsgate stuff. That's not like that. I don't have issues with some people who are on Comicsgate, but the problem is comics have always been very eccentric. Like to the very beginning, the guy that came up with Wonder Woman was like a polygamist that believed in naturopathy and the inner ability to harness your own psychic powers. I mean, it's always been weirdos. It's been cranks and weirdos and people who wouldn't necessarily fit in elsewhere in other art-related industries. And that's just kind of how it is. And that's fine. It's just like we care about the output and otherwise they're kind of weird. That's kind of how it used to be handled. But now they're doing these political testing games, and it does exist, and it's really weird. And maybe it made some sense when comics were selling lots of issues all the time, but now it's like, they're hanging on to dear life, and they're in the ICU, and it's like you're still doing this. Like, okay, like it's hard to take you seriously right now because this is like, your industry is about to die any second. Maybe you should prioritize something else, but okay.
Are you referring to the indie comics or the mainstream?
Indie comics and mainstream they pull from. I mean, the indie comics, I guess, would probably pull from more eccentrics, but comics in general, mainstream comics in general, very eccentric people.
They're just weirdos from different parts of the aisle. That's all.
I think EVS is very funny.
Like I said, I think this is throwing out the baby with the bathwater. Like I said, there are some bad people, and I can understand if he said, "Hey, I don't like John, and you associated with John, so we can't work together no more." I can understand it. I wouldn't agree with it, but I can understand it. But to go Comicsgate in just like a blanket thing, like it's like, no, come on, man. Like I said, there are good people, there's bad people, there's weirdos everywhere.
I don't think we should be ignoring the history between these groups, though. Like there's clearly bad blood. So I don't think it's wild for Mr. Jamal to be like, okay, you go with them, you inherit all their history, their contentious history that we've had with each other.
I don't know. I think if we went like that, then we would be throwing out every single Republican and Democrat in office, because the contentious history of their both parties is so insane, right?
I mean, that's a whole nother bucket of worms.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, you don't go, oh well, Democrats did this, so like no Democrat
is
could
smaller
ever
than the two major parties of the U.S. Like a lot smaller, a lot more insular. Things can get way more personal.
But it's a microcosm of what's going on a bigger political. At least EBS produces good art. That is true. That is true. So either way, like I said, I don't agree with this move, just from the fact that painting. I don't like when everyone, because I'm Gamergate, right? I've said it before. There's no secret. And if you listen to certain people, they go, well, everybody in Gamergate's evil and they hate this. But if you actually listen to what I say and you watch my show, you'll be like, wow, Tony's completely opposite from what he's supposed to be according to everybody who hates Gamergate, right? So I think
We got a
Comicsgate
super chat.
has the same thing, right? Yeah, sure. There's probably some crazy people in there, right? There's probably some people that they didn't even realize how crazy they were. They were just like, oh, well, he got kicked out of the industry, so we're going to take him in. And then like, oh, shit, turns out this guy's a fucking nutbag, right? So.
Right, but you calling yourself Gamergate, you sort of take on the history and the sentiment that comes with that. But you're okay with that, but the sentiment is still there though.
Yeah. Jude Duvall giving $5 to the Own Our Enemies Fund. The term woke has been so overdefined that it has no meaning. Ask both the SJW and anti-SJW what woke means, and see how hard they struggle. I think he meant. But he's trying to fit it in. Thank you, Jude. I'm going to put that.
Jude.
I got to update the Own Our Enemies. Don't forget, guys, if you want to own your enemies, whether they're libs, conservatives, centrists, Eric July, Dick Masterson, whoever it is you want to own, you give me money, and I guarantee you they will be owned in some manner.
Tony is always on your side.
That's right.
Do you send them a thank you card, but it's an owned card? It's a little like, oh, hey, hope you're having a nice day. And then you open it up, it says, you've been owned.
I should. But I sell ISOM to the community, Black Dynamite. I'm surprised, and I almost did this, not to get off topic, but when Eric July announced that ISOM was going on sale for $5, I was really considering if I would be able to pick it up for $5 and then flip it on eBay for like 15 or 20.
You could try, I guess.
I mean, I don't think you
would go far.
I think that would be a good investment, actually. And this is coming from someone who does not think it has value as a book, but in the future it might, because things get crazier and crazier every day.
I mean, even flipping it for 10, because if you picked it up for 5, waited a couple weeks when it's back on sale for 35, right? And you're like, hey, I'm selling mine for 10. There might be a couple people to pick them up. I'm not saying get like a pallet full.
If you can get your stated friend EVS to autograph some of those,
it's true. Nerdette says, hey, no, where's my check mark? That's a YouTube. I don't know.
Nerdette coming on quoting an amazing Andre 3000 song.
Tony needs to start an ISOM forever. Hell yeah, every Wednesday. Don't forget, if you become a member of the channel, you get a nice big booty dragon as your membership badge. You can also use our.
I'm sorry, Pete.
emojis.
You didn't need to hear that.
Pete needs to hear. He needs to hear all about the big booty dragon.
I have to hear about the dragons with large posteriors.
Well, what it was some guy who we've been going back and forth with. He had a big booty dragon, and he got really mad when we made fun of it. So we've adopted it as part of our emojis and stuff.
To be clear, he has a piece of artwork that is of a big booty dragon. He doesn't actually own a big booty dragon, but the piece of artwork is not that great.
I'm going out on a limb and saying he might actually have a life-size big booty dragon at the house. I'm not yet ready to declare that that's not a thing. Okay,
we'll send Newt Scamander in. So yeah.
Yes, we stole it.
The whole thing you don't want to know.
Because we are.
But this gentleman loved the picture of his big booty dragon so much that he made so many different variants of it, like different colored versions, like Pokemon themed versions of his big booty dragon. He submitted it to AI, and now there's a realistic picture of the big booty dragon that's probably not safe for YouTube.
Oh my god!
But yeah, when a man loves a dragon,
he watched
NFTs. Otherwise, I'd say get on that.
Someone actually said we should NFT it just to fuck with them. All right, back to the
NFTs. No one's talking about them now.
Oh, they're dead. In the comments of the post, Eagle made it clear it had to do with the DiDio's appearance on De La Rosa's YouTube channel. Some guy with a name I can't pronounce commented, I have no idea who JDA is. CG? Are those losers still around? Eagle responded, yeah, shit tends to cling to the toilet rim. Ooh.
Ooh.
IDW Publishing Group editor Heather Sexy Antos reacted to Eagle's declaration approving of it. 100. Wow. You're really scraping the bottom of the barrel here, Bounding into Comics. Other comic book professionals approved of Eagle's announcement. Writer Mark Russell, who worked on the Flintstones, Wonder Twins, and Batman Urban Legends, reacted, writing, completely understandable. I mean, these guys are insane. How dare they write these crazy comments? Mahmoud Asrar shared a number of emojis clearly approving of the announcement. Devil horns, sunglasses guy, devil horns emojis. Look at that. Graphic policy founder Brett Schenkner responded asking, who should I not cover / support now? No one responded to that? They didn't tell him? I'm surprised he didn't name all the people who were thumbs upping things. Come on, Bounding. You're dropping the ball here.
What is this? Is this a Facebook group or is this like just someone's public wall?
I think this is I think Eagle, whatever his name is, he posted it on his Facebook and then people were responding to it and they just captured every single response.
This is journalism nowadays.
I need some explanation because I feel like that step was skipped. Like, what am I looking at? You know?
Yeah. I think I read it. Maybe I read it too fast. Because it said in the comments on the post, Eagle made it clear, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah. So I guess this is a post on Facebook. And then these are the responses. I don't use Facebook, so it's for like boomers. Mark
It used to be
Shane.
my favorite thing, and then I gave it up.
I used to use MySpace way back in the day. The creator of Northgard and Anglo Man. Wow. He's got a comic book character called Anglo Man, and he's not in Comicsgate.
Are you still friends with anyone on your top 10 list on from MySpace?
No.
Crazy.
Except for Tom.
How things
Just
work.
I missed all that. I never had a MySpace. So I'll never know.
Tom is still waiting for you.
Yeah. Good for you. It's tough to lose a business relationship, but it's worse to lose your self-respect. They don't understand what these guys think is going to happen to their creative relationships when they get on the intolerance train. Dungeons and Dragons and Magic the Gathering artist Steve Ellis questioned, can you DM me so I don't work for them? What do you make of Eagle's announcement and these numerous comic book professionals supporting him? And Mr. Trent here put up his YouTube page and everything.
Yeah, he does a lot of Twitter video now too. They've been trying to branch out and do more of their own video stuff, which probably is a good idea.
I like this article because it has less of his opinion. He's basically just crawling someone's Facebook page.
So this very innocuous article, right? Just crawling someone's Facebook page. Why do I have an issue with this, guys? What do you think the problem with this article is?
Because you hate Black creators like Eric July.
Well, yes, but that's not the problem with the article. Come on, Pete. You're a journalist. What's wrong with this article?
The 5 W's aren't very clear, for one. It hasn't made a strong case for why the story matters is another.
Good points, but that's not where I'm going with.
Because John De La Rose isn't pictured?
No. I'll actually show you guys. I'll show you what the problem with this article is.
Is it going to be like not true or missing context?
This is Bounding into Comics author page for John De La Rose. He was not mentioned as being a contributor to Bounding into Comics. They wrote an article about John being quote unquote targeted by comic book creators, and they failed to mention that they have a clear business relationship with John De La Rose.
I totally forgot. I just assumed
I
made that connection, so I did not even think to look for it there. It's a good. I mean,
it is one of the things that Gamergate founded on, right? Ethics in games journalists, because they weren't saying, "Hey, I'm friends with that developer. I'm friends with that person working on this game," and they were hyping stuff up. This is the kind of thing that we're not supposed to let fly. Founding in the comics is supposed to be better than this. It would have been real simple to say our writer John De La Rose has been harassed or had been targeted by other people. Right? It's real simple.
Yeah.
Have you tried telling them? Have you like emailed them or
They
tweeted
blocked
out
me on
like,
Twitter.
hey,
Me and Boundings had a back and forth on Twitter about all the ads, and they didn't like that. So,
well, we just saw
Oh.
they had a lot of cat food ads, like a lot.
well, I had
Well-
my older phone. I was like, I can't get. I'm like, I want to read these articles, but I can't see shit because of all the ads. And they're like, there's no ads on it. I'm like, there's literally so many ads. My phone is freezing up. And then they're like,
So,
you're blocked.
I think people just assume you have ad block.
so I'm a subscriber to Melanie Mac's channel, and she posted in her community tab that she was going to dye her hair black. And then the next video she made, she went on Abounding in the Comics, and all the ads were for black hair dye.
Dun, dun, dun. Myself in Comics says, I'm sorry to repeat. John De La Rose contributes articles to Bounding in the Comics. That means they have a connection. They have a business relationship. Bounding in the Comics, if they are good journalists, would mention that connection. Just like how at the beginning of this whole segment, I said, hey, I'm in a group with John De La Rose. Pete's friends with John. We discussed how we feel about John. So that way
And
you
I
would know.
disclosed that you were friends with EBS, who we were also talking about.
Yeah.
Everyone's just friends with each other. It's the Mickey Mouse Club.
Yeah, so it's a giant circle jerk.
We're all going to be superstars.
But see, that lets the reader know whether or not they should trust the article. Is it, it's always about information. You give the reader as much information as necessary so they can draw their own conclusions. Well, you know what? Maybe this article might be biased because John works for you. Or maybe Tony's reporting might be biased because he's in a DM group with John. He doesn't want to piss John off, right? So that way you guys know ahead of time going into it.
Also, your audience might like it more that you say, like, friend of the site, John De La Rose. It might get them to think what you want them to think more.